Alex here with Flower Street Urban Gardens. So I wanted to do the last video on the last part of the setup of our beautiful window box gardens here. If you remember from the previous video, we've installed two 4-foot long, 2-tiered gardens that encompasses the window. Before we had a 6-foot garden here and the window is 8 feet, so it just didn't quite fit, so we made this adjustment with it, and I must say I'm absolutely loving it. We've got everything installed and we got the plants here. Now the plants, from some of you around the country, you're going to say, wow, these succulents are amazing. And with this installation here, it's on the north facing, and that's really important with our gardens, is what direction is it facing. Now this is north facing. We've got a big overhang here of the house, so this is going to be pretty much in shade year round. So the succulents are going to love that. We've got some snake plant here that will do really well and give a little bit of privacy throughout the window as well as those continue to fill in and grow. Now, because it is on the north facing, it's not going to require a lot of water. Before, I always watered it by hand, but sometimes it gets away from you. So setting it up to the irrigation is really the way to go. All of our gardens come with the irrigation kits that you can simply put together. Everything's included for your individual garden application. They have embedded emitters every 6 inches. And the way that this is going to work is there's a loop of the irrigation on the top. If you remember from the previous video too, we wanted to make sure that the emitters didn't land on the center end caps where the two gardens are joined together. So we want to make sure that we put the stakes right up against the end cap on either side, so it will hold that emitter from shifting where the water could potentially drip on the end cap. Now there's a loop on the top, and then there's just one row of this just front of center on the bottom tiers. Now the way our gardening system works is it's going to drain out of a top tier into the lower tier, and then it's going to drain out on the ground. Believe it or not, these two elephant food plants, or elephant bush, these were in this garden that we took out. They were so large, I just wanted to put them in the ground here. I think they look really nice. But we positioned them where they're going to get the drainage water. So it's going to be really nice. Now, we most commonly will hook this up into a whole landscape irrigation. But for a lot of customers out there that don't have that or don't want to go through the cost of it, because you do want these set up on their own valve or zone. If you do have drip irrigation that's in your in-ground landscaping, that's going to run less frequently for a much longer period of time than what our gardens are going to need. They're going to need to be watered more frequently for a lot less amount of time. So I have this little Orbit battery operated hose bib timer, and it's all ready to plug in. Just on the other side of the gate here, fortunately enough, we have a hose bib that we're going to be able to tie this into. But what we've done here is we've got the hose bib. Actually, this is on the wrong side here. We want to take and screw this. I always like putting one of these, or this brass piece here, it's called a Y or a splitter. Now, what's important about this Y or splitter is by hooking it up this way, we're still going to have a port that we can use for our garden hose anytime we want to use that. Everything's going to be controlled off of this Y. For the timer, it's always going to be left on. Now, I've already programmed this, but I wanted to go over just how simple these are to program and to operate. So I have it set on auto right now, so it would just automatically run. I already set the clock, the timer, so it knows what time it is. And then here in Arizona, I like in container gardening to have the drip irrigation turn on during the hottest part of the day. That's going to keep the root zones a little bit cooler, especially in our extreme heat that can approach 120 degrees. So I like it coming on. The start time is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then the run time, I'm gonna have it run for 7 minutes. Now with our gardens, depending on the spot, it's gonna be somewhere between 7 and 10 minutes. Now what you're gonna do is when you first get your gardens, you put the potting soil in, you put your plants in, you want to water it in by hand really well 2 or 3 times to get it thoroughly hydrated, and then the drip irrigation will maintain that moisture level. So I'm going to have it go for 7 minutes, and I'm going to have this right now turn on every 7 days. So at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, every 7 days, it's going to get 7 minutes of water. Now, then if you want to turn it off for any reason, you just turn it to the off mode and the auto mode. But anytime you need to set something, you just go to where it sets, and then you just push up or down to change any of your adjustments. It has a clear mode that's going to clear everything out if you want to change it that way, and then it has a manual mode as well. So if you happen across your garden and say, geez, I want to put a little bit of extra water into it, you can just simply hit that manual button, and it's going to do an automatic run time of 10 minutes, and you can adjust that according to what your needs are. So let's go ahead and hook this up. Let's come right over here. This is very convenient with our hose bib. So this is the line that we brought over, and we're just gonna screw this in. This is the 1/2-inch poly tubing, and they sell the connection pieces to screw onto a hose bib, anything like that. Now we're gonna just go ahead and screw it in. I'm gonna put it on the other port here. And just put that right onto the hose bib. Okay, so everything's snugged up. It's on the auto mode, but let's do a quick run. And now it's indicating that it's watering. Actually, the hose bib is not turned on. Snug that fitting up. There we go. Now let's go back and check. And our drip irrigation is working. Now, when you're setting this up to a hose bib, you may need to dial back the water depending on what your pressure is, because you want it dripping out, but you don't want it squirting out. If it has real high pressure, it can squirt out. And these are all pressure fit connections. If the pressure is too high, it can disconnect some of the connections in the unions there. So want to just make sure, here's what the critical areas where it's clearly away from the end cap and it's draining right into the soil just the way we want it to. And I think this garden is going to give us years of beautiful performance. This is Alex with Flower Street Urban Gardens. See you next time.